The Ontario Science Advisory Table now says the province likely is plateaued around 100,000 COVID-19 cases a day, but it is unclear if this is a true plateau with the holiday weekend coming up. For more on this, we're joined live this hour by Dr. Peter Juni, head of Ontario's Science Advisory Table. Doctor, thanks so much for making time.
Thanks for having me again.
So tell us about these latest numbers that you have and what this says about where you think we're at in this sixth wave.
Yeah, it's good to, for once, be the bearer of good news and not bad news. We at least have slowed down now, and it could be that we indeed reached a plateau. What is important to understand is there's still some uncertainty, so we checked very carefully, actually, during the entire day, our data and whether there were any glitches. It looks as if this is real, relatively consistent apart from the north. We see that it has plateaued. Perhaps it could go down, but it's important not to get ahead of ourselves. The reason for that is, on one end, at the tail of this curve, we always have a bit of uncertainty. So we know we slowed down. Is this now a plateau and we stay on a high plateau? Do we go up again, especially after Easter? It will depend on us. Or do we start to go down? So we need to have a few more days of data to be a bit more confident. But by all means, it looks much better than 6-7 days ago.
But Dr. Juni, none of the restrictions have been put back in place, despite doctors like yourself, calling for the province to, for example, reinstate masking. So why do you think the cases are plateauing?
I think it's three things. One is we have accumulated a lot of immunity, not only through vaccination, but also infection. We don't know exactly where we are, but it could well be that we're approaching something like 6 million people who have been infected with Omicron since beginning of December. That offers a lot of immunity. Then the weather got better. We see in our mobility data that people walk more, go more into parks. That helps. That's where I have the data. And the rest, the third one, is just anecdotes, but I hear from quite a lot of colleagues that people have had, a more careful behavior with more masking, less crowding, etc. This would help too, but for this third data point, I only have anecdotes and not data.
Okay. So what does the data, Dr. Juni, say about which areas are seeing the highest case numbers at this moment? Talk to us about some of the hotspots during this sixth wave.
Yeah, so what we know, I'm just scrolling down actually on our dashboard. You can check it there. It's clear that the eastern region is highest, and they've been higher than ever during this pandemic, basically with their wastewater signals. And that's, it's not always then, already associated with a lot of hospital admissions. It depends on in which age groups we're seeing that. If you have an outbreak at a university, you will see a lot less people in the hospital, obviously. We also have Central East that doesn't look that exciting, and the North that continues to go up a bit. That's the more challenging regions. GTA that had, a lot of cases based on wastewater during the first Omicron wave in December, January, is looking really quite okay, meaning they accumulated more immunity, during the first Omicron wave. And Central West, Southwest, it's surprising they plateaued too right now, even though they haven't had that many infections since December.
Okay, a lot to get through in there. We're heading into this holiday weekend, as you mentioned. A lot of people are going to be gathering with friends, with family. Are you concerned about numbers spiking afterwards as a result?
It could well be. We know that. We know the Christmas bombs every year internationally. Just in Western settings, you see it. No, here it could happen too. What I hope is that will have good weather and people enjoy themselves with friends outside. This would help tremendously. Go to parks, enjoy an early barbecue, much better than indoors.
Okay, some good advice there. Dr. Juni, also hearing reports today of staffing issues in hospitals here in Toronto. Are you concerned about this?
We need to be aware of that. If this estimate is correct, and it probably is, of around 100,000 cases per day, this means we have 5% of the population right now actively infected. That's actually a lot. If you think about now hospitals, the community transmission is also reflected in hospitals. And that's one of the challenges we will have, even though hospital occupancy might be a bit lower. we have challenges just because of people being knocked out with COVID. And there are already some places, like London or Hamilton, that had to cancel surgeries. So I'm glad about this plateau, but I would be even more thrilled if we all were a bit careful for a few more weeks.
Okay. The province now, Dr. Juni, expanding testing. Do you think we'll get to the point once again where our PCR tests will tell a more accurate picture of what's actually happening in our community, or are we just going to have to rely on wastewater data moving forward?
To be honest with you, the longer I analyze it, the more I'm convinced that the case growth that we actually are estimating from wastewater is probably better, especially on a provincial level, than what we ever got through our testing. We probably won't go back to where we were. You need to imagine also the cost of what we're talking about. If you have 60,000 tests per day, and each test costs about $40, that's quite a lot of taxpayer money. We probably will need to approach that pragmatically. And right now, the testing aims at identifying those people who could benefit from treatment, especially Paxlovid.
All right, good to know. Dr. Peter Juni, thanks so much for your time and your insight tonight. We appreciate this.
Thanks a lot.